The United States Lawn Tennis Association, formed in the late 1800s to cultivate tennis as a sport for the ultra-civilized, nevertheless bars blacks from competing in its invitational tournaments. In response, blacks formed their own organization, the American Tennis Association. The ATA provides a valuable training ground for many black players, including Althea Gibson, the first black international tennis champion. In 1942, a young, exceptionally gifted Althea enters and wins the ATA New York State Open. She is 15 years old. She then becomes friends with ATA men's champion, Billy Davis.
He tried to impress upon me, say, "Champ, you ought to get a coach," because they always called me Champ. When I became a champ, that was my name, Champ. I said, "Champ, now you need a coach, and I know someone who can help your game tremendously." And I said, "Who is that?" He said, "Well, Sidney Llewellyn." I said, "Who is Sidney?" Eventually, I did get to meet with Sidney, and we started working out, and believe you me, he worked my butt off. We would have practice sessions every day, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, practicing serve, volleys, and in between practice, Billy Davis, the same one that introduced me to Sid, would come out and play. We would play as if we were playing a match for our lives. Now, mind you, I didn't say 1 or 2 hours a day. 8 hours on the tennis court. And just taking a break to have a snack and to relax and continue. Sidney would have maybe a box of balls, about 200 or 300 balls, and I would serve all 200 or 300 of those balls in one spot until I was so accurate that I could close my eyes and put the ball where I wanted to.
I myself have taught many currently employed teaching professionals and quite a few ATA champions and 2 world champions. What do they have in common? Speaking in terms of Althea Gibson, she was a great competitor, and she would compete at anything, at bowling, at playing pool, at golf, at whatever. Now, she had that drive. Arthur Ashe, whom I taught also, he had a very subtle but a persistent desire to win, and a love to win, love for the game. I contend that it takes a chump to make a champ, and a champ will never make another champion, because a champion will never be a chump. If you look through history, you find that those who became champions seldom ever make a champ of another person, because to make a champion, you have to be an altruistic person. You have to have a willingness to place a person up and above you, beyond heights you will never reach.
Althea Gibson dominates the ATA Women's Championship for 10 years running before finally getting her chance at Wimbledon. That chance comes in 1957. At age 30, she upsets top-ranked Darlene Hard to become international tennis champion. She returns home to take the U.S. Open from champion Louise Brough in straight sets. In 1958, she again rules the courts at Wimbledon with a stunning victory over Angela Mortimer.
Well, my style of play, I believe, was aggressive, dynamic, and mean. The players that I played against, they were the same, actually, you know, because I came on the scene as an upstart in those years. And, of course, I was struggling to become well known as the first black player to compete against world-class champions, such as Louise Brough, who I beat her at Forest Hills doing the U.S. Nationals. But they were all very tough players, particularly on the grass surface that they had in those years at Forest Hills.
In the '58 U.S. Open, she again faces Darlene Hard in a sensational championship match. Again, Althea prevails. For the second year in a row, the phenomenal Althea Gibson is ranked #1 in the world of professional tennis.
I'm sure that there was prejudice, but I suppose I ignored it because I was so intense in my tennis, playing the game of tennis, that I didn't even think about it. And then maybe one thing that might have saved me was that in those years, I was antisocial. I didn't give a hoot about going to parties and cocktail affairs and hanging out with the other tennis groups and the other tennis players. After I finished my match, I went home, relaxed, had my supper, and discussed with my coach what had to be done the next day, and that was it. So it didn't bother me. As a matter of fact, I considered it a great education to be able to travel around the world as I did, being the first black female tennis champion of the world, to have this privilege. And I enjoyed it tremendously. I learned a lot, I saw a lot, and I played a heck of a lot of tennis all over the world.